It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Hump Day. It is Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. It is PTL time. Yes, thank you for being here. Please check out the new website, pushingthelimits.live, ever-growing every day. Check it out. And, of course, we're broadcasting all over the World Wide Web. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. A lot of people were wondering, well, why wasn't I live on YouTube yesterday? That was intentional. The reason why I wasn't live on YouTube yesterday is because we had a very controversial guest that talked about the vaccines, and there's certain things you can and can't say on YouTube, and that's why I decided not to go on YouTube Live yesterday. But we were everywhere else. We're back everywhere, and we appreciate you being a part of the show. You could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network, and many other entities. We appreciate you being here. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's incoherent speech at Doral yesterday. It is absurd. Marco Rubio complaining that our VP wants to get rid of straws. Candace Owens defending Adolf Hitler. There's no surprise there. And listen, this is a big story, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you all. When you have somebody like George Clooney, who helped Joe Biden raise $30 million in a Hollywood fundraiser, come out today and say that he believes Joe Biden should step aside, that is a big deal. He is a big name, and he's helped Joe Biden. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about a lot of different issues surrounding the elections, which I cannot believe are only 4 months away. Holy smokes, right around the corner. And we got the residential liberal who has graced us with his presence today. And I have a feeling that we're going to disagree on some things today. That's kind of why I wanted to have him come in today. Mr. Chris William Wynn joining us in studio today, the residential liberal of Pushing the Limits radio show. Usually I have a lot of people that I disagree with on the show. I agree with Chris on a lot of things, and we disagree on some things. Chris, good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you, Brian. Good to be here as well, too. And, yeah, I mean, look, we might get into it. We're going to chop it up here a little bit without question, as there are some very instrumental topics that we're going to be getting into. And, yes, as you pointed out, we are just a matter of 4 months away from one of the more consequential elections in American history, especially in modern political history as well, too.
Absolutely.
So there's no question we're going to dive into it. But I would concur with you. I would say, yes, we agree. Most of the time, we are in agreement to draw the line from Phil Leotardo and Tony Soprano. We are fundamentally in agreement on a lot of these issues. There are some things we disagree on.
Sports picks, yeah.
For the most part, sports picks, there you go. Yeah, but when it comes to politics, though, Brian, yes, I'm going to be someone who echoes a lot of what you have to say. And, of course, I'm going to have my own perspective, given that I'm a completely different person.
So, Chris, I'm not going to repeat the things I've said the last couple days, the last week about Joe Biden. You all know my opinions and who I'm supporting for president. It could be a vegetable, and I'll vote for them over Donald Trump. However, I have some more criticisms, and I think it's healthy conversation to have. First of all, as you know, during the debate, Joe Biden said that he wasn't feeling well. I believe it. You know, he didn't look well. He had a cold. I'm totally willing to believe that. Here's my question. If that is the case, which I believe it is, then why was he out till 2 o'clock in the morning? Why did they allow? He's been bragging on the networks. He went on Joe Scarborough and said, I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning. If you weren't feeling good, you're an 81-year-old man. Shouldn't people around you be helping you and saying, hey, Mr. President, you didn't have your best night. You're not feeling well. Let's cancel some events. Go to sleep. That would have been a responsible thing. I'm not blaming Joe Biden for that. I'm blaming the people around him. Why was he out till 2 in the morning? The man is clearly tired. He's not feeling well. That's number one. Number two. Why are they not talking about Project 2025? Why is the vice president not holding a press conference now talking about Project 2025? All of Donald Trump's very close advisors, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, are behind this bat-you-know-what crazy Project 2025, which, by the way, would ban abortion across the country. Why are they not talking about this more? Why is Joe Biden not holding a press conference and talking about this? Democrats need to hit this home. I don't want to, lose my, I guess you could say how should I put this? I'm trying to come up with the right word. I want to continue to talk about Donald Trump and the threat he is to this country. That's very important, and I'm not going to stop doing that. But we have 4 months here. When I say we, I'm talking about you, me, and the people that are anti-Donald Trump.
Absolutely,
Okay?
yes.
That could be Democrats, that could be independents like myself, could be moderate Republicans. We have a job to do. We need to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get back into the White House. The Biden campaign has the most important job. And in my opinion, since the debate, I'm willing to say it was a bad night. Okay, he had an off night, bad night, he wasn't feeling well. Since then, they have not done a good job in hitting it home. I'm not worried about people like you. I'm not worried about anti-Trump people. I know which way they're going to vote. People know which way I'm going to vote. I'm worried about the independents. I'm worried about the moderate Republicans. I'm worried about the people there that might still be on the fence, or at least publicly, while they'll say they're not voting for Trump, they're not yet ready to vote for Joe Biden. I'm worried about them. And I don't believe that the Biden administration, not the administration, the campaign, have done a good job. Now, we might get a Joe Biden surrogate on the show tomorrow. I'm talking with their campaign, and I would like to ask them a lot of questions. But do you think those are 2 fair criticisms? Number one, why is he out till 2 o'clock in the morning when he's not feeling well? And number 2, why are they not talking more about Project 2025?
Okay, you posed a couple questions there. First of all, all right, he shouldn't be out till 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a very simple answer to your question to me. You know, hypothetical. Look, I don't control, obviously, what Joe Biden does with his time or what the Biden administration does with respect to their scheduling and all that kind of stuff. So I would agree with you. Yes, he shouldn't be out till 2 o'clock in the morning if he was sick during the debate, which I don't think it's just an observation or just a guess. I thought he was sick during the debate. He was absolutely hoarse. All right, he was not on the top of his game by any stretch of the imagination. We've already gone over this. It was a terrible night for Joe Biden. All right, and by extension, a bad night for Democrats when it comes to the upcoming election. All right, but it was a 90-minute debate. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just automatically assume because of that debate performance that the Democrats absolutely positively have to go another direction. Now, I'm going to, with respect to your second question, they kind of are, Brian. They kind of are talking about Project 2025, especially in the last week plus now. It has become kind of an agenda item for Democrats, Mr. Shapiro, all right, where they want to shift the focus away from Joe Biden's competency, right, or perceived cognitive issues is what I'll say, all right? They want to change the narrative. So now, yes, Democrats, the mainstream media, right, comedians on late-night TV, people are now absolutely positively, Mr. Shapiro, talking about Project 2025 and also the agenda of the 2024 Trump re-election campaign. It's not a re-election because he lost. So I guess I'll wrap up, addressing those 2 points you made by saying I think that the Democrats are going to be ramping up and trying to focus on things like this dystopian, completely atrocious, un-American, authoritarian agenda that is Project 2025 and other stuff.
Understood.
As well.
Okay, I'll take it further. Now I'll take it to the next step. So Kamala Harris did mention Project 2025 yesterday in Vegas in her speech. It was only a few moments. Joe Biden did tweet out, the threat on Twitter about Project 2025, but I'll take it a step further, okay? By the way, I don't think that's enough. I think they need to go in detail of what is involving Project 2025. They need to go in detail of the advisors that are right next to Donald Trump when Trump is asked about Project 2025. He says, oh, no, I have no idea what it is. Clearly he's lying. But let me take it a step further. So, and this is my frustration with the Joe Biden campaign. And the only reason why I'm frustrated is because I want him to win. I want the Democrats to win because I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure Trump doesn't get back into the White House. I come from the right place here. So for those of you out there that want to attack me and say, you in the media, you're attacking Joe Biden. No, I'm not. I'm not attacking Joe Biden. What I am doing is
you're posing questions.
Criticizing.
You're posing questions, though.
Right. I'm posing questions, and I'm criticizing his campaign for not doing enough. Example. In the 20 years I've done radio, actually probably 22 years now. Jeez, I'm getting old. I've had as you know, I've interviewed a lot of politicians, interviewed a lot of people. Sometimes their management, their people will come to me, hey, what topics do you want to discuss, right?
Well, I would expect all the time they would do that, right?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Set yourself up as far as a media appearance.
And I give them
to have the details now locked down.
And I give them basic topics. Well, I think we're going to talk about this. I think we're going to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
never once have I had anybody give me questions specifically to ask somebody. And and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you know this story that came out,
Yes.
this Philadelphia radio station, where the lady got fired, regardless of what your opinions are on that. When you're trying to prove to the American people, which, listen, not trying to prove to me or Chris or but middle America that's still maybe undecided, that Joe Biden is competent and he's ready for another 4 years, the last thing you should be doing is hand-picking questions to a radio host. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
He had 4 minutes up there after the Supreme Court ruling, which was ridiculous. And you know the ruling I'm talking about presidential immunity. Absurd. I think we all agree. Absurd ruling by this embarrassment conservative Supreme Court in this country. He went up there for 4 minutes. This was a wiffle ball. He could have teed up on it, answering questions from the media. He didn't do it. So my question, again, I'm posing more questions.
Yeah,
Is
you've been good at that so far today on a Wednesday.
Why? Yeah. These are not difficult things, okay? We know that Joe Biden had a bad night. Okay, fine. I'm willing to look past that. I think some Americans are willing to look past it. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about the pathway forward. That's what I'm talking about. He needs to sit in front of the media and answer questions for an hour. Our vice president needs to go on Sean Hannity's show the way that Gavin Newsom's not running for president. He's not running for vice president. Why is it that he is the guy that has to go on Fox News, which, by the way, I appreciate. Thought he did a great job. I know our vice president is capable. She's a very intelligent lady. Say what you want about her. Very educated, very intelligent lady, but very understanding of the issues, okay? Why doesn't she go on prime time? Why are they not out there? And I know you can say, well, Joe Biden, he's done 18 press conferences, he's done this, he's done that. I'm not talking about a 5-minute media scrum at the airport. I'm talking about prime time. Why am I asking these questions? Because, again, I hit home. I don't want Donald Trump back in the White House. I'm willing to do and say whatever it takes. I want to make sure they win. I want to make sure there's a pathway to victory. And if you people out there don't agree with me and you don't think that Kamala should be running for president and you don't think that she should be picking a vice president, okay, fine. I'm willing to have that debate with you. But they haven't done a good job. And when I say they, I'm talking about the campaign in proving and showing that Biden is ready to go for another 4 years. I don't need to hear about Trump right now. We all understand who Donald Trump is, unless you're a MAGA moron. You know the guy's a rapist. You know the guy's a habitual liar. He's a 34-count felon. We know that. I'm talking about specifically Joe Biden and our vice president, and I believe they're making, when I say they, again, the campaign mistakes, Chris.
Okay, so you said a lot there. Let's dissect a little bit of what you just broke down, all right? I'm not in a position, again, you and I both are not in a position in which I'm going to make judgments based on their media appearances. I would expect that the Biden administration, right, and the re-election campaign has media experts that are working with them, right, or people they consider experts that know what direction President Biden or Vice President Harris should go with respect to media appearances. You got very specific saying you think Kamala Harris, which, by the way, she right now is the vice president, and she's running to be a vice president. She's not running to be the president. All right, so it's not a situation in which Kamala Harris is going to be. And historically, it's never been really a situation where the vice president has had a huge impact by going out and doing media interviews. That when it comes to the re-election campaign of the president, the current president, who's the incumbent. All right, that's not necessarily a thing. But again, I go back to what I just said. I'm sure there's people that are media experts working with the Biden campaign that are giving him and giving Kamala and giving everybody on the team advice with respect to where he should go and do media interviews. So the whole notion of having him go on Hannity, I mean, you're opening up a can of worms there when it comes to media and credibility, right, and places you should go. And I know I can see you coming a mile away here, Brian, when it comes to, well, there's people out there, you say middle America, I'll call them undecided people. If there's still people out there, and there are, I think there's millions of people out there that are undecided as far as, do I go with the Bidens and Democrats, or do I go with Trump and MAGA? That's really the discussion. This election, Mr. Shapiro, all right, is about ideals. It's about the direction of the country. It's not even about really, if we want to bring the nuts and bolts into this, Brian Shapiro, it's not even about the man Joe Biden or the man Donald Trump. It's about what this country is facing after the election in November of 2024. It's about all the stuff that Project 2025 kind of highlights, right? It's about the Supreme Court justices, right, that could get appointed in the next election, right, in the next presidency. It's about, women's reproductive rights that could go bye-bye, right? It's about us going back possibly to the 1950s when it comes to immigration, right? Rights of migrants and immigrants coming to this country. It's really about a lot of things. Democracy is on the ballot, right? That's the phrase that a lot of people use regardless of what outlet you work for. That democracy is on the ballot. It is a extremely important election. And so it's not even just about that. But to your very specific question, yeah, it would make sense that Democrats would want to make sure that they push the narrative out there that they want pushed. But they have to play this balancing game of portraying Donald Trump for what he is and MAGA for what it is if they end up getting back into the White House, and also pumping up what they've done, right? The Biden administration has to point out, the CHIPS Act. They have to point out all the things they've done in the last 3.5 years of his presidency. And they have to project those positives onto the American electorate.
Yes. That,
as you pointed out, you said middle America, I'll say undecided. And they have to make their case to those people that have yet to decide if they want to go to the left or go to the right.
So let me be clear here, and then we're going to move on and talk a little bit about Mar-a-Lago. But let me be very clear here, and I'm gonna speak my mind once again. I've made it clear what I think Joe Biden should do. Okay. But now my criticism does not go for Joe Biden, doesn't go for our vice president. Mm-hmm. I personally believe that Biden's campaign staffers are failing Joe Biden. In turn, the last couple of weeks, they're failing the country. They have not done a good job. They need to make some changes, and some of the things that we've talked about here in the last 20 minutes, the campaign needs to do a better job. They need to put Joe Biden in situations where he will succeed. They need to put the vice president in situations where she will succeed, and they're not doing enough. And for God's sakes, the man is 81 years old, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't feel good and he has a bad night, as they say, or he's sick, do not allow him to go out until 2 o'clock in the morning. Where is Joe Biden's family? His wife should not have allowed him to go out until 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not trying to treat this man like he's a child, but if he's not feeling well, okay, he shouldn't be out until 2 o'clock in the morning. That's all I'm saying. It's irresponsible. So let's make sure he's healthy. Let's make sure he's getting rest. Let's make sure he's energetic and ready to go, especially the next time he does an interview or a press conference or a debate. Now, I do want to move on to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump made his little, and by the way, it wasn't very well attended. There were like 3,000 or 4,000 people there. You can see the video if you don't believe me. They'll probably claim 40 or 50,000 because they're all a bunch of idiot liars, MAGA morons out there. Mm-hmm. The Klan cultists were out yesterday for hours and hours. Not as hot as it is in Las Vegas, Chris, but 95 degrees out there with no shade, no water. A lot of people were passing out. People had to go to the hospital. And the fat lard shows up an hour late, too, with no shade, with no water. And guess who the little bitch was complaining about? Guess who Donald Trump was complaining about? Donald Trump, yes, cut to. I'm sorry, Numchuck. Donald Trump was complaining about a water spa and sweating. Meanwhile, all of his supporters out there are drenched in sweat because Fatty showed up an hour late.
You know, it's only 103 degrees out here. So, you know, they built all these, they call them, sir, we have many water spots. I said, what about one for me? Do I have one? I don't have one, Marco. They gave water spots. Everybody has, they call it a water spot. Where water comes out, you get. They don't have anything for me. I'm being drenched up here.
Yeah, we want to see you topless. We want to see a wet T-shirt contest with Donald Trump. You boob, you slob, you slob, you rapist.
Shocker, Brian, that everything comes back to Donald Trump, right, and his own personal situation. Everything's about him, right? It's just amazing to me that's the direction it would go in one of these events.
Chris, what would you say
with DJT? I mean, come on.
I know. Chris, what would you say to these cultists out there? And that's what they are, Klan cultists.
Yeah.
99% predominantly white Klan cultist out there, that hours and hours were waiting at Doral. And then Trump shows up an hour late at his own frickin' golf course, that fat tub of lard, and is complaining about water spots. I'm drenched, water. Well, then, idiot. Hey, idiot. Then why did you do it outside? Why didn't you do something inside, you moron? And why did you show up an hour late? And these cultists out there that are waiting hours and hours to see this idiot with another mumbling, bumbling speech.
Chap, let's just call it what it is, and we'll use the golf analogy, my friend. It's par for the course. It doesn't shock me whatsoever that this is where we're at in America. And look, I'm somebody that consumes a lot of, comedy, right? I'm a huge Daily Show fan, right? Jon Stewart, Jordan Klepper, jumping all over YouTube to find funny clips of people that are trying to be comedic, but are actually at the same time actually saying something serious or actually trying to make a point. And this is something that is frequently brought up, right? On whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump,
right?
Anytime that they, do something like this, or there's kind of a lack of self-awareness, I guess is what I'll say, for either candidate or either political party, it gets brought up, and this is it is not shocking whatsoever that MAGA and followers of Donald Trump they're just gonna overlook any of this stuff. The term has been used till the cows come home, Shapiro, and it's called everything is baked in. It's all baked in,
no doubt,
when it comes to Donald Trump, and so they're just gonna look past it. The lying, look past all
speaking of that,
the misinformation, all the stuff going on.
Speaking of what you just said, there were plenty of moments in this incoherent speech last night at Doral, which, by the way, I played golf there way before I even knew who Donald Trump was when I was a little kid. This is the moment. This is strange. He doesn't even know that his son, one of the sons, not Uday or Kusei, Biff, also known as Donald Trump Jr., who's probably smoked more crack in his life, I would imagine, than Hunter has. Donald Trump in Doral in a very strange moment, but the right-wing media won't be covering this, claiming that his son, Don Jr., is married.
So hard, so smart, has a great wife, as does Don. Oh, you like Laura, right? Let's get off Eric and let's talk about Laura.
As does Don. Well, last I checked, Kimberly...
He's not married yet to Kimberly Guilfoyle, right?
Last I checked, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who, if you want to speak about someone who looks like they're on drugs, boy, talk about... I mean, she was... Back in the day, she was a beautiful woman, and now she... I don't know what Don Jr. has done to this poor woman.
You mean back when she was married to Gavin Newsom?
Yeah, very attractive, and now, boy, I don't even know.
That whole thing is just kind of hilarious to me, Brian, isn't it?
Anyway, where's Melania?
Yeah.
Where's Melania? So Barron was there for the first time. Where's your wife? Where's your contractual, obligated wife walking around with, by the way, I have no respect for Melania Trump either, okay? Walking around with her $30,000 handbags in New York City. Where's Melania? How come she hasn't been seen at any of your rallies? One thing you can say about Jill is that she stands by her husband. You can disagree with the decision-making of the Biden family. You can say what you want there. But Jill stands by her husband and stands by Hunter. She did in a courtroom. So where's Melania Trump? I'm just posing the question here,
You're
ladies
just
and gentlemen.
opining, right, Brian? That's all you're doing.
That's
You're just
all
thinking
I'm
about it. Oh,
doing.
by the way, hey, Shap, I'll do you one better. Where is Ivanka Trump? All right, and I think we know the answer. If anybody's been, following that situation as well too. Very interesting. Some of the comments made by the former first daughter between 2016 and 2020. With respect to her father and his politics.
Well, I think she knows her father's a lunatic, but she also made $600 million when Donald Trump was in office with Chinese trademarks from the government. And her idiot husband, yes, Jared Kushner, is a complete fool. What a dumbbell!
But wait, Brian, he was going to fix the entire situation in the Middle East. I thought,
this a-hole.
He was severely gifted with that opportunity.
You talk about tens of thousands of innocent people that have been dying in Gaza, and this idiot does an interview talking about how he'd like to turn that land into a resort. What an idiot! Taking $2.1 billion from the Saudis. Anyway, I don't understand, Chris, what Donald Trump's obsession is with Hannibal Lecter, but he went on another Hannibal Lecter rant yesterday. Does he even know that Hannibal Lecter's not a real person? Well, here he goes at Mar-a-Lago again.
Did anyone ever see the lovely movie Silence of the Lambs? Did you see it? Did you ever hear of Hannibal Lecter? He was a lovely man. He would love to have you for dinner. He will take you. You had many people for dinner. Well, we have a lot of people coming in. They always say, oh, that's terrible, that Trump would say. He is rambling about Hannibal Lecter. No, I'm not rambling. We are allowing people from insane asylums and mental institutions into our country by the tens of thousands, and they're closing them down in other countries. You know the cost savings and all of the savings?
Rant. It's a rant.
So, by the way, that's not true. He always talks about all the mentally ill people that are coming into this country that happen to be illegal. He has no idea what he's talking about, and that's not true, number one. Number two, what about all the mentally ill people that you've hired in your past administration that you surround yourself with? I mean, what about, Sebastian Gorka, who is a racist pig, by the way? They keep using the term DEI, right? They talk about, our vice president, she's a DEI hire. Let's be very clear, ladies and gentlemen. When Republicans, MAGA Republicans, use the term DEI, it's a code word for using the N-word. Let's just call it for what it is. DEI hire. A guy like a Sebastian Gorka wants to call our vice president the N-word. He's chomping at the bits. And by the way, if he did, Newsmax would probably welcome him back with open arms. But instead, they use this term DEI, right? I don't want to go into a rant here, but there are code words for what these Republicans use. You know, when they attack drag queens, when they say they're anti-gay marriage, really, they might as well just use a gay slur. Same thing with DEI. It's the new N-word for the Republican Party. Instead of using the N-word, they can get away with it, but they're not going to get away with it with me, because Sebastian Gorka and you racist pieces of crap that say, DEI hire, DEI hire. Here is a woman, say what you want about our vice president, but here is a woman who did not sleep her way to the top. There is a piece of garbage in this town. His last name rhymes with kook, so you probably know who I'm talking about, who has said on the air before, and I'm sure we'll say again, that she lied on her back to get her way to the top, meaning, basically calling her a whore, our vice president. This is a woman who is extremely educated, a very intelligent woman. Could she be better in interviews? Sure. Not everybody's great in interviews. Could she be better with the media? Sure. Not everybody's great with the media. She is a very accomplished woman. So when Sebastian Gorka and these mentally ill racist MAGA supporters say DEI hire, you remember what I just said. Because what they really mean is calling somebody the N-word. That's what they really mean. Just like these MAGA supporters out there, make America great again. Make America great again means make America white again. That is the code word for these MAGA Republicans out there. Now, maybe everybody that says that isn't a racist. But when Donald Trump made up this pathetic make America great again, it was make America white again, or in his case, make America orange again. When they bring up these critical race theory, it means they just don't want people to know about black history. Let's call it for what it is. Oh, they're indoctrinating our kids. No, they want to also get rid of history. They want to get rid of black history. They want to burn books, right? They want to attack the LGBTQ community. They want to attack transgenders. They want to attack anybody and everybody that is different than them. Guess what? I don't want to be like you. I don't want to judge people based on race or sexuality. Our vice president is an accomplished woman. Say what you want about her. I will take her in a heartbeat over just about any Republican that is in office today.
And Brian, you brought it up as far as Donald Trump and the people around him, right? If he gets reelected in 2024, now that there's people that are in his administration that are either in prison, right, or are under some type of indictment, or do have some type of legal jeopardy, or are just people like Mike Pence, right, or others who just want nothing to do with Donald Trump at this point and do not support him, what's his administration going to look like? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? You brought up Sebastian Gorka. Is he going to have Sebastian? And is he going to have Stephen Miller by his side? And like,
Trump.
I mean, it's just going to be fascinating in a disgusting and terrible way to see the people that are around another President Trump, era. I mean, it's really something else. Also, that the Biden campaign or the Democratic campaign, because we haven't really talked about my opinions with respect to whether or not Joe Biden should actually lead the race or what direction we should go. I'm sure we can opine on that in the next hour and a half or so.
Yeah, we'll do that.
But the point being is that, that's going to be something also. I think that whether it's the Biden campaign or the Democratic campaign in the next 4 months is going to have to bring to light and put a spotlight on when it comes to the Donald Trump presidency of 2025.
So when we come back, I will ask you that question because I think people know where I stand on this.
They do, because you've made it abundantly clear.
But obviously, I'm all in. If it's Joe Biden, I'm all
Absolutely.
in. I'm all in defending, doing whatever it takes. So I'll ask you that when we come back. And I will also open up the phone lines now. Now, when we come back, before we open up the phone lines at 702-221-7283, Marco Rubio speaking yesterday. Some are skeptical. Some are saying could be Trump's pick as vice president. I've said J.D. Vance all along. We'll see. Marco Rubio talking about some really important issues facing the American people. He's hammering our vice president because she wants to ban plastic straws. Yes, I have the audio to prove that. I'm not joking. Candace Owens defending Adolf Hitler. I expect nothing less from that despicable. I can't even say what I really want to say on the air, what I think about Candace Owens. She's so despicable.
Well, she's an idiot.
Yeah.
So I'll
worse.
just be very plain about it, and I'll be straight to the point. She's a moron.
She's worse than a moron or an idiot. She's dangerous. So we'll play that audio for you as well, and we will open up the phone lines when we come back. Do you agree or disagree with my criticism of the Biden campaign, that they've made some mistakes, that if somebody is sick and they're 81 years old, and they're the president of the United States, even worse, where they have a very busy schedule every day, you probably shouldn't have that person out till 2 o'clock in the morning. How do we know that? Because Joe Biden said it on Scarborough. He was making the case, hey, listen, I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning, but wait a second, you had a cold, you weren't feeling well. Why did they allow you to do that? That's not Joe Biden's fault, in my opinion. That's the people that are around him. 702-221-7283, when I will ask the residential liberal himself, Chris Wynn, does he think that maybe the Democrat Party should have Joe Biden step aside and put somebody else in there? We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit quincefornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Looks like we're going to get a Joe Biden surrogate on the show tomorrow. So, should be interesting. I always hold people's feet to the fire, and I'll ask them the same questions and the same concerns that I have with all of you. Please check out my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of PTL Radio. Show your TAM card any Tuesday this month, and you get $50 in free slot play. Chris Wynn has done that.
I was there, Brian Shapiro.
Yes.
I was there Monday night/Tuesday morning with our friend Don Smith, one of the bartenders there, hanging out with some of the crew, with Jay Rose and those guys. Tremendous spot here in Vegas when it comes to their menu, when it comes to their gaming options. Outstanding.
My favorite gaming bar in town by far. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Check them out. Tell them I sent you. Just quickly here, I did mention this at the top of the show. George Clooney did say that just 3 weeks after he campaigned for Joe Biden when they raised $30 million. Listen, this is George Clooney. He's one of the biggest names in the history of Hollywood. I mean, he's a big name. He said, I love Joe Biden as a senator. As a vice president and as a president, I consider him a friend. And I believe in him, believe in his character, believe in his morals. In the last 4 years, he's won many of the battles he's faced. I agree with everything George just said. But then he says we are not going to win in November with this president. On top of that, we won't win the House and we're going to lose the Senate. This isn't only my opinion. This is the opinion of every senator and Congress member and governor that I've spoken with in private. Every single one, irrespective of what he or she is saying publicly. None of us can. It's devastating to say this, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe big effing deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. Joe Biden is a hero. He saved democracy in 2020. We needed him to do it again in 2024. I have to be honest with you. There is no way in my mind that Clooney would be lying when he says behind closed doors he's spoken to a number of Democrat politicians who won't say it publicly but privately have told him they don't think Joe Biden should be the guy. So take that for what you will, Chris, before we take phone calls. Do you agree or disagree with George Clooney?
Okay, so obviously this is leading into my opinion with respect to whether or not Joe Biden should be at the top of the ticket going in to the election. And this is something I talk about probably for the next hour and a half of this show, Brian Shapiro. All right, so I'll just make some quick points. And I prefer really to have like a back and forth with you and necessarily, going to the phone calls because we know the phone calls could go all kinds of different directions here. This is my take on this, and I'm going to take kind of a have my cake and eat it too type of approach with respect to this specific issue. Let me be extremely clear. You've had me on this show. I've hosted this show for you. I'm a Democrat. I am on the left. All right, so there's no question. There is no ambiguity. There's nothing that is wishy-washy with respect to my opinions. I'm going to vote for whoever the Democrat is. And I happen to think that there are a number of people, along with Joe Biden. So, yes, I'm saying Joe Biden still. I still believe that Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump in an election. I don't agree with this kind of blanket definitive statement that many people have made that there's no way for Joe Biden to win in November at this point. Okay,
I didn't say
I
that.
understand. Well, there's been George Clooney just said that.
Right.
I'm saying, and George. By the way, George Clooney and I, we probably are absolutely in lockstep when it comes to our ideals, right? And it comes to our policies and our us being Democrats. All right, we are in lockstep. But I'm not going to sit back and make this definitive statement that Joe Biden cannot beat Donald Trump. I find that to be ridiculous. All right, and we've given a number of reasons why Donald Trump is beatable. All right, and why the idea of him being president again, to me, is preposterous. And I've said this many times on the show as far as what I think about Donald Trump as far as credibility and as far as honesty and all this kind of stuff. When I say I'm a person that has my cake and eat it too, what do I mean by that, Brian? I mean that I'm on board with either one. I would prefer, personally, my own personal opinion, that yes, Joe step aside and let our generation, Generation X, take over, all right, when it comes to the Democratic Party. Those names I've brought up many times on the show and off the show. I think that, okay, so again, you're not let me finish. Let me finish, all right? There's names like obviously Kamala Harris. There's names like Wes Moore in Maryland. There's names like Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, Hakeem Jeffries in New York, Michelle Obama. We go down the list of people that I think absolutely can beat Donald Trump also in 2024. But I'm not, use the term I just used early in the last segment, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just conceding that Joe Biden has to step down or else we can't win. That's what I mean by wanting my cake and eat it too, all right? I'm a Democrat who looks at the entire situation and says, you know what? Yes, I think it would be in the best interests of our party. And because of what's transpired, I was shocked, Mr. Shapiro. I was stunned and shocked at the performance during the debate and the coming days as well too after the debate, right? He did have the good performance at that rally 24 hours after the debate, and where he kind of had an explanation as to why he felt, because he felt better and all this. But it hasn't gone well in the last 5, 6, 7 days since then, and it's created more question marks in Democrats' heads when it comes to Joe Biden being the best guy. Yeah. All right? So yes. So my assessment of this situation is, while I understand the reality that right now the reality is Joe Biden's still in. He's the only one. He's going to be the only one, along with Jill and his family, right? And maybe people that he respects in his administration that we're probably having conversations with President Biden, right? About, this isn't just about you, President Biden. This is about the Democratic Party, and this is about the direction of the country. And I'm hoping that those conversations are taking place, but I don't think there's been a definitive decision yet made with respect to Joe Biden and whether he's going to pull out. I think that if he does pull out, and we have 4 months left in this cycle, right? 4 months left of this campaign, essentially, that there are a number of Democrats that can beat Donald Trump anyway.
I will say this: Biden has said he's not going anywhere. He's made the statement.
And as of right now, you know what, Brian? He's not going anywhere until he is going somewhere, right? Until someone maybe there's a decision made, or maybe there's a turning point for President Biden, and he does change his mind.
So Joe Biden.
So it's not definite. It's not definite.
So Joe Biden has made that statement. He called into Joe Scarborough's show and said he's not going anywhere. Going back to George Clooney quickly, and then we will move on, because I think a guy like that, when he makes a statement like this, it does matter.
Well, because he's famous.
So George Clooney said, and
he's not any more of a Democrat than a lot of us Democrats, Brian.
I think,
and you're not a Democrat, so I'm not including you.
The most important part of this statement, to me personally, you can talk about how he claims and I believe him, that he's spoken to a lot of prominent Democrats behind closed doors, and every single one of them believes that he should step down. But the most important part of this message, and listen, people, you can take it for what you want. If you don't care what George Clooney says, that's fine. But I do. He said the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at this fundraiser was not the Joe big effing deal Biden I saw in 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden in 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. George Clooney is saying that the guy we saw in the debate is the same guy that he saw during this fundraiser. Now, I listen to that and I say, that's problematic. That's not good. And if you come from the cloth of, Joe's my guy, I'm sticking with him, or they shouldn't replace him, that's fine if you have that opinion. But they have to convince the American people that George Clooney's wrong.
Well, going back to what you said, Brian, they have to convince the people that are still on the fence.
Okay, right.
Not. They don't have to convince Democrats.
Right, so,
you said at the top of the show, Brian.
I know. Hold on.
Democrats are not changing. We're not changing our votes.
Right.
Okay, I'll speak for Democrats. Okay,
I
you're
know
not
that.
a Democrat, although you lean left,
Okay,
and when it comes to Trump, you hate him. But I get that.
Okay.
I'll speak for Democrats, Brian.
I know what
We're
you're saying.
not changing.
I know.
The people that's minds
it.
need to be
Okay, hold on.
changed are
Okay,
independents.
Hold on, I didn't finish.
Well, I know you didn't finish because I'm jumping in.
I know, but let me just
and
finish.
it's kind of a back and forth. That's why I'm on the show, to have a back and forth with you.
I know that, but just let me finish what I was saying, which is that they need to convince the people that I've talked about before, that are some independents, some on the fence,
No doubt.
moderate Republicans, and the campaign has not done a good job in getting Biden out there and putting him in the positions to do that. That's what I will say. Now, later on in the second hour, I'm going to be playing some audio from Marco Rubio, which is ridiculous, and then Candace Owens defending Adolf Hitler. But I did promise I was going to take some phone calls. Myself and Chris fundamentally agree that it probably would be better for the Democrat Party at this point if Joe Biden stepped aside. He's done a great job as president. I respect the heck out of Joe Biden. He's a good, decent man. I don't think that's going to happen. If you ask me what I think should happen and what will happen, I think Joe Biden's sticking around. I will say this, though. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But I will throw out maybe a little conspiracy here. And maybe I'm wrong. Our vice president was in Las Vegas yesterday. She spoke at a rally. She met with Team USA basketball. It just so happens that Barack Obama was in town last night as well. Do I know for sure if Barack Obama and our vice president met? No, I don't. I would imagine they probably did.
Of course wait, they're friends, Brian. You do know that, right?
But yes.
Like President Biden President Obama goes way back with Vice President Harris.
Yeah.
They are absolutely. So I think it'd be kind of just strange if they didn't meet.
So I would imagine they probably did. I wish I knew what those conversations were like, but that's all I'm saying. Let's take the calls now.
Yeah.
702-221-7283. I believe we have one phone line open still available. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Joseph, who's first up on PTL. Hi, Joseph.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Okay, I know people want Joe Biden to step aside, but me, I always know my vote will not be in vain if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would drop out, but I still believe in Joe Biden and Harris to take down Trump, and I always do is I always reposted people's videos on YouTube and formerly Twitter and also TikTok to show what Project 2025 is, and I do hope people will look at those videos and say Joe Biden's right about it.
Well, obviously Joe Biden's right about it. You're right about it. We're all right about it. And I know that Joe Biden has tweeted about it. And I know our vice president mentioned it yesterday. They need to hit that home more. I mean, part of this, there's so many different elements of it, but they want to ban abortion across the country. This is a radical agenda. It's interesting because the orange turd always says the Democrats are radicals, and they're the ones with the radical agenda. Yet this is the same idiot. The reason why Roe versus Wade was overturned. Make no mistake about it. It's not the Democrats that are radical. It's the MAGA Republicans. Why are they not out there talking about it more? That's all I'm saying.
And Joseph and to Brian, a point in fact, you can jump right on the web right now and actually read Project 2025. It's a 900-page document, understandably. Most Americans are not going to read the entire 900 pages of it. And I'm sure something else we could also get into on the show, Brian, too, is the former president, Donald Trump, has weighed in on this whole Project 2025 thing. And it was a completely ridiculous tweet. It was a textbook Donald Trump lying episode in which he says, well, I don't know anything about 2025 at all. But then 5 seconds later, he says that he doesn't agree with certain parts of it. So, okay, you wouldn't if you don't agree with certain aspects of it, then why would you say that you have no idea what it's all about? Yeah. But the fact of the matter is this: you can go on the web right now And you can read Project 2025 exactly what it is and what it consists of. Obviously, the Heritage Foundation supports it. A lot of conservative organizations support its agenda, right, and a lot of its principles. There's no question about it. And this election is going to be, I'm telling you right now, Joseph, Brian Shapiro, this election is not just about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. It's about getting America going. In what direction do we want them to go? Do we want to go in an authoritarian, fact-free, your personal liberties don't matter direction, or do you want to go in the direction that Democrats want,
Joseph,
which is in that area of liberty and freedom?
Joseph, last word. Go ahead.
Okay, and I bet you have heard or saw the video of Mr. Big Mouth Mark Robinson about shooting liberals and all that stuff.
I saw the video. Well, he talks about Project 25, right? I don't think he's one of the architects, but he's somebody who absolutely supports it. And he talked about the Civil War, right? He talked about how, we think it's going to be it could be a bloodless Civil War as long as Democrats allow it to be, which, again, is another ridiculous statement. Yeah.
No, you're right.
And one more thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I find that more pathetic and disgusting, even more so than I think it's one of his statements about the Black Panther that was created by Jewish losers. To me, I find that upsetting, and I find it because that is
repulsive.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby is talking about.
Listen, Joseph, it's repulsive, and thank you for the call. It's the same kinds of people that have spoken at Turning Point rallies that have said the man in the household should be the only person that should be allowed to vote. When was America great? When black people were slaves? When was America great? When women weren't allowed to vote?
Yeah.
I mean, these are unprecedented times we are living in. And whether Joe Biden is the guy or not, we need to make sure that Donald Trump never sets foot back in the White House. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julian. Julian is next up on PTL. What's up, Julian?
Hey, gentlemen. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great.
So I want to approach the whole Joe Biden versus somebody else from a slightly different perspective, because basically the discussion is he looks old, right? But I think the thing that gets forgotten about is that Joe Biden has a ton of money that he has raised for the election, and that is not DNC money. That is not the Democratic presidential nominee money. That is specifically money that is earmarked and tied to a Joe Biden candidacy, and nobody else has that. He also has a whole bunch of campaign offices set up. And all of these, the idea of getting these transferred over is complicated at best, if not impossible. Next point is Republicans have, it has been reported that Republicans have attorneys generals in various states that have lawsuits prepared if the Democrats try to swap out Joe Biden for somebody else to try to get that tied up in court. And then the last point, because I know I'm going really fast, is we are the politically aware. Everybody who listens to the show is more politically in tune than most people. And often how we perceive things and how the media perceives things is very different than the common person. For instance, Bo of the Fifth Column has a fantastic YouTube video talking about how he watched the ABC interview of Joe Biden with a bunch of normies, for lack of better terms, people who are not politically in tune, and how they perceive that interview is very different than how the entire media is perceiving it.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Sorry, I rattled off a bunch of stuff.
No, that's okay. That's quite okay, Julian, and it's good to hear from you. I'll just say this. You go to any far-right entity, and they'll make it like Joe Biden is going to keel over. Obviously, you have to listen to fair, balanced, non-biased people. And listen, there are plenty of people on CNN that have been saying, listen, that debate performance was not only terrible, but there are talking heads on CNN that are echoing what George Clooney said. What's very disconcerting is the word I would use, is that when you have some of Joe Biden's friends, his allies, people that are close to him, that have spent time around him, that say, this is not the same Joe Biden we saw in 2020. The time that I spent with Joe Biden 3 weeks ago is the same Joe Biden I saw on the debate stage. That's really problematic. Is George Clooney just lying? And listen, some of you might say, why are you giving him so much? Well, Paul, because he just helped Joe Biden raise $30 million, and he's a friend of Joe Biden, and that's a problem, and that's problematic.
No, but I'll do even one better, though, Brian. It's not just since 2020. It has become kind of abundantly clear. And again, I don't want to get into territory where we're going to act like we're medical professionals.
No, we're
all right?
not.
But it's just our opinion. It appears just in the last 3, 4, 5 months, Joe Biden has lost a step, right? Has slipped a little bit. That's why Democrats, right, and even independents like yourself, who kind of lean left, are concerned because of what happened during the debate, right, and what's happened ensuingly in the last 5, 6, 7 days.
Yeah.
So that's a reason for concern. Let me address real quickly what Julian said with respect to the money, right, the coffers in the DNC when it comes to the Democratic Party and the Biden administration. Make no mistake, yes, Joe Biden is in the most ideal position from a money standpoint, right? If he were to continue his re-election campaign, right? But also Kamala Harris would be very easy for her to transfer it to Kamala Harris, that money. You could do that, all right? Both Kamala Harris or Joe Biden would have access to those millions upon millions of dollars that are sitting there getting ready to be used for the re-election campaign. Yeah. Now, it's not true what Julian said with respect to, and look, I'm not going to act like I'm some tax lawyer here or someone that's, versed as far as an expert when it comes to campaign financing. But it's my understanding also that if, say, the Democratic Party wanted to go another direction, like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Russ Moore or Hakeem Jeffries or something like that, right? Or Michelle Obama, there's ways in which they could get that money into super PACs, in which they would have access to that money, and there's ways to do that. Again, I don't know exactly what the process is. So it's not – so I just want to be clear with Julian, the point he's making about the money. It's not just Joe Biden that can use that money. It's also Kamala Harris who would have much easier access than other candidates, but the other candidates would have an option.
Thank you for the call, Julian. Let's get back to the phone lines at 702-221-7283. Let's go to Shay. Shay is next up on PTL. What's going on, Shay?
Not much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I got 3 questions. One, do you think this White House isn't being transparent when it comes to Joe Biden's medical situation?
Okay, one at a time.
I think so. Yes.
So
yes, they are.
Let's do one at a time. I tend to disagree with Chris a little bit. I think there are people within the White House that know and understand that Joe Biden is not necessarily the same guy he was a year ago. Now, do I expect them to go out in front of the cameras and say, Joe Biden's lost it the last year? No, of course not.
You don't have to do that. No.
But do I think that they're maybe putting him in, afraid to put him in situations now where maybe they weren't as afraid to a year ago? Absolutely, if that answers your question.
Well, no, you saw, but Brian, I'll push back at that a little bit. You saw Pierre's press conference, right? You saw her press briefing where she was combative with the media on the situation.
That's
she was
what
absolutely, that's what the call is referring to, is that press conference in which Pierre was absolutely
so let me address
obfuscating and not being, let's put it this way, not being completely upfront with respect to, because you had the Alzheimer's doctor that's been there, 8 times in the last, 8 months or whatever, Parkinson's doctor
let me
that was there.
Because I have a strong opinion.
There is a view that they are being protective of President Biden. Let's put it that way.
But my take on that is it's all a bunch of right-wing conspiracy theorist nonsense. Joe Biden does not have Parkinson's.
I didn't say he did.
I'm not saying you did. I'm talking about the far right.
Okay.
Joe Biden does not have Parkinson's. He was not there being treated for Parkinson's, and that's why I believe she got very upset, because I thought there was a member of the media in that press room that was very disrespectful, and so I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, sir. What's your second question?
Okay, so the second question, if he drops out, which I think he should, if Kamala comes in, do you think they need to go for a VP? They need to get somebody, a progressive wing, to bring in those younger voters?
Yes.
It would make sense. That makes sense.
Yes, 100%.
And
now, I know, Shay, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, and I know I've taken a lot of slack for this, but I truly believe, even though I am not a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. supporter, I happen to know for a fact, because I know people that are very close to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that if he was asked to be the vice president, he would do it. Now, I'm not a big fan, but I will tell you this right now. That 8% or 10% that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is getting right now is huge and would be huge for the Democrats. So I would support that ticket, even though I don't support everything about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. If you had a Kamala Harris, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ticket, they would defeat Donald Trump. I'm very confident in saying that.
But to the caller and to Brian, that's never going to happen. There's been a number of people that are Democrat politics experts that absolutely positively give extremely valid reasons why RFK Jr. will never be anywhere near a ticket. You have a better chance. You have a better chance of having Bernie Sanders running on the ticket as a vice presidential candidate. Not the president, but you have a better chance of that happening than you would of RFK Jr. being the vice presidential nominee.
Go ahead, Shay.
I got one more quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I live in D.C. Now I'm trying to figure out, you gentlemen, since you live in Nevada,
yes,
why is it that Nevada is a toss-up state, which the majority of the people that live in Reno and Las Vegas are heavily Democrat?
Good question. I think I have a good answer for you because I've been asked this before. You have a lot of people in this state, the ranchers, the cowboy types. A lot of people are moving here. Not everyone's like, oh, everyone's moving to Nevada from L.A. Yeah, there's a lot of people from California coming here, but there's also a lot of people from other parts of the country that are coming here too. We have a Republican who is the governor, and we have, let's just call it for what it is. We have a lot of, Texans and a lot of people that are moving to Nevada, and I believe that as well. This is a battleground state, and there are more Republicans that are coming to Nevada more than ever before, and I think that plays a role.
We have a lot of MAGA types, caller, that are coming. I'll reiterate what Brian just said. There's a lot of Republicans that are rural Republicans from California that are moving here. Obviously, for tax purposes, right, there's no state income tax here. There's a lot of financial positives of coming to Nevada from other states, especially California, right, where there's a, 13% state tax in that state. And so I think the influx of those MAGA types, those Republicans, are the reason why Nevada is being looked at as a toss-up state. I'm still very confident. I'm still very confident. I'm a little bit worried, Brian Shapiro, about Nevada. I understand people want to call it a swing state, but I still think it's a Democrat. I think it's going to be blue.
And we also have a lot of lunatics that are running the Republican Party here. Mike Ronald McDonald, as I like to call him, fake electorate moron. Jesse Law, another moron. Sigal Chattah, who's a complete lunatic.
But they just carry water for Trump. That's all they do.
All right.
And MAGA.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back to the calls. We do have a MAGA supporter that's calling in, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next on PTL. Maybe I'll just let Chris Wynn take this one over because my blood pressure always rises. Go ahead.
Herb.
Go ahead, Herb.
Yeah, I don't mind Chris taking it over as long as he lets me talk. But I don't know if you guys saw the interview with the doctor on CNN. I think it was last night. I saw it last night, but I don't know the doctor's name, but he was a specialist in Parkinson's disease. And he spoke on CNN. He's a Democrat also. But he said there's no doubt that based on his characteristics and the things that he's doing, that Biden is in his first stages of Parkinson's.
Okay, so hold on. I have to interject.
So go ahead and interject.
Quickly.
I've got an absolutely quick statement about it, too.
And I will say something quickly, and then Chris can respond. Yeah. First of all, that wasn't word for word for what he said because he hasn't seen Joe Biden. He hasn't in person done a physical with Joe Biden. And I will also add that they have made it clear, and it is public record, that Joe Biden is not in any early stages of Parkinson. They made that clear, and they also put that on the record. So just because a random doctor...
Who made it clear? Who made it clear?
The White House. It's public record that the person...
The White House, but they've never released any statements that he's had, he hasn't been tested for Parkinson's.
First of all, they said it yesterday, and it's public record that he's had...
Pierre spoke in the press conference and made it was abundantly clear about the facts and any fact pattern when it came to doctors and President Biden and anything having to do with Parkinson's or dementia or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
He's very clear.
I'm not going.
But they said there was no. But wait a minute. They said there was no need for him to be tested for Parkinson's. That's what was said by the White House. What are you guys talking about?
Okay,
wait,
so
we're very excited. Brian, are we not being clear as far as
I'm trying to be clear with Herb,
articulation of the
situation? He doesn't know how to listen. Yeah. I don't know. So Herb, I'll be clear with you once again.
Yes.
A Parkinson's doctor went to the White House 8 times. They have also said that Parkinson's doctor was not there necessarily just to see Joe Biden. The doctor was there to see other people as well. They also concluded, and it is public record, that Joe Biden does not have any signs of Parkinson's and he does not have Parkinson's. So when you make the claim or you hear somebody on CNN that did not do a physical with Joe Biden, whether they're a Parkinson's expert or not, you can't diagnose someone with Parkinson's just because you see him make a speech, okay? Any doctor would tell you there are plenty of other tests that you need to run to make that assessment. And anybody with an IQ over 20 would understand you can't make the assessment that he has Alzheimer's or he has Parkinson's unless you actually have a physical exam face-to-face with Joe Biden. So quite frankly, sir, hold on. Let me just finish. Let me just finish.
Go ahead and finish.
Quite frankly, I could care less and give two Fs what some doctor says on CNN or Fox News, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, if they haven't seen Joe Biden and done a physical with him. The bottom line is if you think the White House is lying and everybody's lying and your guy is Donald Trump, you can go ahead and have that opinion. But when the White House says he doesn't have Parkinson's and the White House is adamant about it on public record saying he does not have early Parkinson's, then I'm going to believe them over some doctor on CNN that has never done a physical with Joe Biden. Period.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna argue with you, Brian.
No, because you can't.
Well, you're not arguing with him. No, you just got his blood pressure up. Herb, you don't have to argue with him. You just got his blood pressure up. Look, Herb, I'm going to throw you a bone, okay? I'm not going to be as definitive as Brian was just. I'm not going to say I don't give a damn and don't care what the doctor had to say. The doctor, right, is an expert on Parkinson's, right? So take it for what it's worth, right? You want to use whatever phrase you want to use. Take it as a grain of salt, yeah. I'm not going to completely dismiss the opinion of the doctor, but Brian's absolutely correct. This is not one of Joe Biden's doctors. He doesn't have he's not privileged to any information with respect to President Biden's medical background. He's just opining on CNN. And look, I don't watch CNN all the time. I have Fubo and I have Amazon and Netflix. Contrary to what many people might believe, even though I'm a lefty, I don't watch CNN all the time. So I did not see the interview you're talking about.
Go ahead, Herb.
But yes, so Herb, okay, he is a doctor. He's entitled to his opinion, but let's not just, hinge everything on the opinion of some doctor on CNN. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Go ahead, Herb.
Okay, well, let me just say this. I just want to say a couple of things. Right. I wish you guys would look it up on YouTube or something. Just take a look at it and then make your own opinion.
I already saw that.
Well, there's a lot of doctors out there that haven't treated Joe Biden. No, not Herb. There's a lot of doctors out there, all right, that have been on social media, done media appearances and interviews that have had their opinions about Joe Biden and whether or not he has dementia or Parkinson's.
So we belabored
it.
So
we don't need to. We don't need to go see one other doctor's interview.
We belabored it.
We get that.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So Herb, we've wasted 5 minutes now. You're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Yes.
Chris is not a doctor. I'm going to go by the White House doctors.
Well, we didn't waste 5 minutes. We had a banter back and forth.
So Herb,
it's a radio banter.
It's nonsense.
Can I make a comment and then I'll get off the phone?
Okay.
I just wanted to say one thing. After this whole thing has come down since the debate, I think it has exposed you people on the left you're in total denial.
Okay, so calm down.
Again,
hold on, I'm going to respond to that. Hold on, I'm going to respond to that. Hold on, I'm going to respond to that. First of all,
Come
Herb,
on, man. Herb, do better. Come on.
Herb, I didn't hang up on you, but you're an idiot.
Come on.
Okay? First of all, I'm not the left. You're a moron. You're a right-wing buffoon. Number two, it didn't expose anything. In fact, to the contrary, unlike idiots like you, he hung up because he's a coward.
Yes, because he doesn't want to face the music.
Yeah. Hey, let me
Brian,
finish.
let me ask
Hold
you.
on. No,
how many Democrats?
Let me just finish.
Brian?
Hold on.
You can finish, but dude, you can walk and chew gum at the same time, Brian. Okay,
let me
Why
just
do you do
finish
this?
my statement because you're interrupting.
Okay, so
let me just finish.
guess.
Okay, so let me just finish.
Yes.
To Herb's comments. Herb, as I said before, I'm not the left. You're an idiot. Number two.
Well, I'm on the left.
I'm the person who goes on the air, unlike you, Herb, because you're Cheeto Jesus and you'll never criticize him for anything. You never will, whether it be rape or sexual assault or felonies. I'm going on the air, and even Chris admitted, we both admitted, that the Democrat Party would probably be in a better spot if Joe Biden stepped down. So you're a complete idiot, and you don't face realities. We have the wherewithal. We're not in a cult. If we see something, we call it out. I respect Joe Biden. I think it's best for him to step down. You're the idiot and deplorable, yes, I'm going to call you Herb, a deplorable, who calls into this show and has never criticized Donald Trump for anything. You haven't criticized him for attacking John McCain. You haven't criticized him for calling our brave men and women suckers and losers. You haven't criticized him for attacking women on looks. You haven't criticized him for calling Mexicans rapists and bad people. You haven't criticized him for being a 34-count felon. You haven't criticized him for not only sexually abusing a woman and being found liable for it, but then defaming her. there. You refuse to criticize Jared Kushner for taking $2.1 billion from the Saudis. You refuse to call out Donald Trump for selling Bibles and making money off of Bibles and gold sneakers. So don't you come into this show, you buffoon, and say, oh, well, you lefties, you look bad. You look bad. No, we have something.
No, he said we are all in denial. That's what he said. He didn't say we look bad, Brian.
We have something called intellectual honesty while you support an orange turd rapist. So you can go fly a kite, Herb. You have zero credibility. Go watch your Fox News. Go watch your Tucker Carlson. Go watch your OAN. Go watch your Newsmax and F off.
Numchuck, that caller got Brian Shapiro to a point where he didn't want to be at, right? Where he's absolutely over the. You're fired up, bro.
He's a freaking jackass.
Your blood pressure has risen, my friend. No question.
Am I wrong?
Look, no, you're not wrong. Let me tell you something. And by the way, all the stuff that we've talked about, even Democrats like myself, regarding Joe Biden and whether he should drop out. Donald Trump shouldn't even be in the race. He shouldn't even be in the race at all. He shouldn't even drop out. He shouldn't. Once he lost in 2020, he should have gone bye-bye.
Yeah,
he shouldn't even be. There shouldn't even be a MAGA a MAGA portion of the electorate right now. Donald Trump has zero business and zero credibility even being in the race at all.
I find
Period.
it.
So spare me.
He just
your
turned off.
Sanctimonious BS, Herb. About
Justin.
No, wait, time out.
Put his mic
Shapiro
back.
just went on a rant for literally 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's my show.
5 minutes. I know it's your show. I get it. Yes, I know. And even when I co-host with this, it's still your show.
Yes.
All right. So give me the courtesy to let me talk
I
for
am.
2 minutes.
Numchuck cut your mic off, not me.
All right. So again, okay, yeah. Well, then you're an idiot then. Okay. So hey, let me tell you something. All right. We are not in. Okay, Herb said that we are in denial, right, Brian Shapiro? Yes. It's not just you and me. How many dozens upon dozens of talking heads have been on mainstream media and beyond the last week and a half talking about how Joe Biden maybe should drop out, right? At all different types of levels, right? Whether he should definitely drop out, or making comments like Cenk Unger from the Young Turks saying, Joe Biden has no chance to win in November,
I never
right?
said that.
And he has, you know what I'm saying, though.
I
You
would
know
say
what
that.
I'm saying. Herb, let me help you out, all right? We're not in denial. We observe the situation. We see the reality of the
Yeah,
situation.
you try to. I find it interesting.
We are not going into it with rose-colored glasses and just complete
I find it
obsession,
I find
like
it,
you people do
I
and
find
MAGA
it,
does with
all right,
Donald
we can
Trump.
turn the massage music off, but thank you. That was very soothing. I find it interesting that these MAGA clowns, they'll call in and then they try to insult me.
And then they hang up.
They hang up like
Yes,
the
like
coward.
cowards.
Yeah, the draft, just like your
He's not,
hero.
Brian, time
just
out.
like
He's not just insulting you; he's insulting me.
Just like the
I'm
draft
co-hosting the show
dodging,
with you today.
just like the draft dodging coward in Donald Trump that you support. All right, let's get back to the line. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. What's going on, Paul?
I feel like I should play some church music for you guys.
That'd be good
Hey,
stuff.
first, I know I was a little animated with that guy yesterday. I apologize if I came in a little hot. I just think the lack of misinformation is just really making it hard for the facts to get through, and it's very frustrating, as I'm sure you feel the same way.
Sure.
Hey, it's totally different, but you quoted George Clooney today, and I think that's an issue. And I think that I do agree with the guy yesterday on you and I are just average, everyday guys that are trying to pay our rent and eat our food. Why is it that these celebrities get all this access to the senators when the people that we voted into office and asked us for our $5 or $10 can't even get them to return an email?
I have an
because
answer
of celebrities.
for you. Money.
Yeah, because
money.
of celebrities.
Because these.
No, but they're celebrities.
Yeah, I know.
Money.
I agree, but I think that's a huge, huge part of this. Trump had a donor give $50 million, right? Why should one person have that much damn power over what happens in our country? Or Joe Biden's having private webinars with big donors, and he's kissing up to them and kissing their butts, and you and I are like, hell, I just want health care. I just want my taxes to be lower. There's a point where we have to realize, it's not just the candidates, it's the people that are putting all the money into that. And we just seem like we're waiting for those politicians to fix the system that they're a part of, and they're never going to fix it. Am I totally off base here?
No, you make a ton of sense. And look, you're raising a bigger question, right, as far as how much money should be involved in politics. And there's a lot of people that are either in politics or working as public figures that want to get money out of politics. And it's a noble thing to address. But we all understand the reality, right? People that have money in America are going to have more influence than people that don't have money, right? I mean, it's a very basic concept.
But how do you fix
look,
that
I think you can fix it, but again, I don't want to sit here, and Brian is not going to either, sit here and act like we're experts as far as how to get money out of politics. We're not. We're not.
Right.
In a perfect world, would we want to have that situation transpire, right, where you didn't have that type of influence? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You would. But unfortunately, the reality is that that's the case. And, bringing up George Clooney or any other celebrity for that matter.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
Whether they're a supporter of Trump or Biden, we know that it's out there.
I'm going to say something that Paul, you, Chris, some of you might disagree with. If Joe Biden's the guy and he defeats Donald Trump, boy, all is great in the world, right? And Joe, we support you.
Yep.
But if Joe Biden loses and if Donald Trump becomes our president, who are we going to blame?
God help us.
Who do we blame here? I blame a couple people. Now, I hope that doesn't happen.
Blame a lot of people.
I blame the Democrats. I blame Joe Biden. I blame his family members. Listen, if let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Joe Biden steps aside. Okay, thank you, Joe, for your service. You're a hero. Kamala Harris loses. I'm not going to blame anybody, okay? They lose, they lose. I still think it would be the right decision, right? But give her a chance. That's all I'm saying. Give her a chance.
Oh, she'll have a chance, Brian. And to the caller, she'll have a chance.
But
right?
we need
Democrats are going to they're going to back that machine that is the DNC, right? And Democrats and a coalition among independents like yourself, Brian, and others. There's going to be a machine in place that is going to.
Guys,
it doesn't matter if it's Kamala Harris or Gretchen Whitmer.
And here's my thing.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Chris,
they're going to support
I agree.
Here's my problem. This is not going to get better. Joe Biden has good days and he has bad days. But this is not going to get better. That's why I'm concerned. Listen, if Joe Biden's the guy, he's got my full support, even though I might disagree with the way Democrats are handling this. When you have Democrats coming out of meetings and they're being asked, sitting Democrats that are elected, coming out of a meeting talking about Joe Biden, and they're asked, are you guys on the same page? And the response by one sitting Democrat is, we're not even in the same book. That's really bad. When you have a George Clooney saying the things he said, this is not a good look.
Well, Shap, what you're doing right now is you're making the case why Joe Biden should leave. You're making the case right now.
But,
I don't know if you realize that, but you are. Yeah.
But here's the bigger thing that I think, and this is my one criticism. Well, I have some, but it seems like Democrats, they wet the bed all the time something goes a little south. Like, you have and it's just a perception. I'm not saying it's right. I'm a Democrat. But you have all of the Republicans lining up, wearing red ties and cult suits and worshiping the guy that raped women and is a convicted felon. And you got Joe Biden that had a bad 90-minute debate, and now you have Democrats like, I don't know what to do. You go left, I go right, he goes north, I go south. What do we do? What do we do? And they're all running around looking for an answer, and no one has one. And the perception is they don't know what the hell they're doing. Is that a fair thing to say?
I see the direction you're going, the view that Democrats at times can be pansies, right? There's that perception out there that Democrats are not people that are going to go out there and fight, right? The discussion, right, when it comes to Trump, right, and MAGA, how they're not afraid to get down and dirty, right? They're not afraid to use the lowest common denominator, right? And the criticism of Democrats is that, you're too much of a, I'll use the P word, but I don't mean pansy, the other P word that I know all of you are thinking about, that I'm characterizing Democrats are looked at as, right? That we are at times we don't want to get dirty and down. We don't want to get into the mud pit.
Guess what? I'll say this.
Into the mud pit with Donald Trump and MAGA.
I'll say this.
Maybe we do need a little toughness, right, Brian?
I'll say this.
We do.
It's time for the Democrat Party to get dirty.
Yes.
There's no longer the times in this era of when they go low, we go high. I love Michelle Obama. She's a wonderful lady. I wish she would run for president. She's not. This is not the time. We need to go after Donald Trump. We need to call him for what he is, the things I say every day on the air. And Joe Biden needs to do more of that if he is going to be the guy. Let's get back to the call, 702-221-7283. It is funny, Chris. I'm sorry, I have to do this.
Okay.
When some of the local conservative shows, the phone lines are open, and they just can't even get one phone call. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Well, they get the same 3 or 4 phone calls every single day. Yeah.
The phone lines are always clogged here, and I get complaints. We're working on getting more phone lines, by the way, because I know the phone lines are full. All right, let's go to Pam. Pam is next on PTL. Pam, thank you so much for your patience. How are you?
Woo! Wow. I've remained calm. It's been tough for the last 10 minutes, but I am from Indiana. It's a red state.
Yep.
I don't have to tell people how bad Trump is because they all know how bad Trump is. I have been spending all my energy and all my time. Have you read 2025? You need to read 2025. This is where you can find it. You need to educate yourself. This is what our future looks like if you vote for Donald Trump.
Pam, don't you agree with me then that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris need to talk about Project 2025 more? I mean, they mention it here and there, but they don't talk about it enough.
We all do. We need to bring it up in conversation with anyone and everyone we speak to.
I agree.
Especially our young people. I don't know if you guys saw the last night with the 75th anniversary of NATO. It was amazing. I cried during half of it because it was like, Joe is a good, decent, honest man.
I agree. Pam, I agree with you. I'm not in disagreement. And Pam, if you listen to the show, you know Chris and myself. If it's Joe Biden and he's the guy, it's not even an afterthought. I'm in 100%. And I'm going to vote for him. Okay,
Absolutely.
So you know that about me, and I'm getting attacks from social media.
Democrats are going to support the Democratic
Of course,
ticket.
Pam.
It's all the other people.
Yes.
And one way to
Pam,
sway the other people is educate them.
I agree.
On what the
Pam,
playbook is.
I agree with everything you said, Pam. But do you disagree with me that where we're at right now on a Wednesday, 4 months before the elections, that it might, I'm saying might not be the best pathway to victory to defeat Donald Trump if Joe Biden is the guy? Is that a fair question to ask? And what are your thoughts on that?
I have the same thoughts that you have. The bottom line, I am going to support my party regardless. I think we need to all calm down and wait until the actual conference. That is when we will know what choice. They hear everybody out there speaking. I just don't need to get into arguments and make more enemies with those across the aisle.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy that. I enjoy becoming enemies of MAGA idiots. Pam, I don't want them to like me. These MAGA morons are despicable human beings. They are the attacks on the LGBT community, the attacks on transgenders, the attacks on minorities.
I have the United Nations in my family. I totally agree. I have a daughter in Europe. I have friends in Europe. They are watching our elections probably closer than the majority of Americans are watching our election right now upcoming. They fear it as well.
Yeah.
So Pam, let me answer the question. Pam, let me answer the question though that Brian posed. You asked the question: is it fair to ask that question? Absolutely, it's fair, Brian. It is.
I'm getting attacked.
That's the answer.
I'm getting attacked.
So
by
I'm answering the question.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something.
I
Yes,
know it's
it is fair. We don't have to. You don't have to go completely overboard and say that it has to absolutely be done.
No, I'm
but
not
you
saying
can
that.
say, but it's absolutely fair to ask the question.
So I
now
agree.
to Pam's point though regarding 2020 and your point by the way, Brian, and we talked about this. They're going to talk about Project 25. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be part of the fabric moving forward for the Democrats, for Joe Biden, his re-election campaign, and the DNC. They are going to talk about Project 2025, both Pam and Brian.
But
so don't be discouraged, okay?
I hope so.
And I look, this is just something that's come to the forefront in the last, week? In the last week plus, maybe, people have found out about this agenda that's been, that 900-page agenda. And to Pam's point also, Brian, let me point this out. Look, there's a lot of uninformed Americans out there that on a day-to-day basis, they don't dive into politics, right? There's people out there just trying to get by. They're trying to, get by day-to-day as people in the United States of America. They are not absorbed by this constantly. So saying that, and by the way, there's millions of them out there, okay? And many of them are voters and are going to vote in the election. This idea that everybody should go out there and read it. They should, but they're not going to, all right? I mean, there's people that aren't engaged in politics. They couldn't care less about, details like this, like Project 2025, like the 2024 Donald Trump election agenda. That's a separate document, right? That's a separate thing. That's not as completely lethal and toxic as Project 2025. So my point being is that there's a lot of people out there that they don't even engage in politics, period, much less are going to take the deep dive of going and reading a 900-page document
I'll say
basically
this.
describes the destruction of democracy in America.
I will say this, and then we'll get back to the calls here. As soon as I went on social media and I went on this show and I said, hey, I think it's a fair question to ask, should Joe Biden step down? There were some people, and some of them social media trolls that I don't pay much attention to at all. But there are some people that are saying, oh, he's in the bag for Donald Trump, which is, by the way, the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, that's not true.
There's no, well, I know that's not true, but it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then there are people, why are you helping Donald Trump? And these people are complicit, and they're delusional. And if you watch Joe Biden today, and you think he's the same man, and I'm not talking about his character. We all know he's got a moral compass. He's a good man. I'm not talking about that. If you think Joe Biden today is the same man he was a year ago, I'm sorry, but you're complicit and you're delusional. Let's get back to the phone calls. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to get on the program. All right, who are we going to next here? I believe our next caller is Alfred. Alfred is next up on PTL. Hi, Alfred. Thanks for calling in to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chris and Brian.
How are we doing tonight?
Yes, go right
or
ahead.
Today, I should say.
Okay, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking me. I'm 60 years old. I was an independent for decades until January 6th.
Right.
I wrote down a few points, so hopefully it doesn't fire any of you guys up because I'm not trying to. Number one, I do argue with MAGAs. I was in the pool hall the other week, and they were all running their big fat mouths, and I stood right up and I said, by God, I am not going to vote for a traitor to this nation. And they couldn't even look me in the eye. They all looked down at their beers and would not engage me. And a guy who's a veteran came up and said, absolutely, he has committed treason. I can't believe it. Secondly, some of the newspaper owners are traitor Trump donors. And I think that what's really going on here and why this story is just being carried forth is because they feel it's a vulnerability and they're concerned about us finding out about the degree of their culpability in this entire failed coup and fake elector scheme. The other thing is it's I understand what Brian is saying, but think about this. It's kind of too late to replace Biden because you guys both said that we're kind of atypical in terms of the general populace in that we really do follow politics, bro. I mean, I'm up at the crack of dawn every day. I'm reading every single day, and I don't watch CNN or MSNBC. I watch the PBS NewsHour because I generally like the fact that they don't allow yelling, screaming maniacs on. And then the other thing, too, that people don't seem to be focusing on is that Trader Trump hasn't increased his base. He told the Haley supporters, if you support Haley, I don't want your vote.
Let me interject.
And he told
go ahead. What you're just saying, I agree with you, and I talk about this a lot. If, in fact, Donald Trump loses in November, which we hope he does, in my opinion, no matter who the other candidate is, he's going to lose because I don't think he has any more support than he had in 2020. I agree with you. There's not many people that I talk to that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that are going to be voting for Donald Trump. With that being said, we still can't take independent voters for granted and even moderate Republicans because whoever wins this election, I think we all can agree, it's not because of Republicans or Democrats. It's going to be because of moderates, those that are in the middle. Who are they going to get? Are they going to be voting for Donald Trump or are they going to be voting for Joe Biden? That's who's going to win this election.
Let me address your point, too, the caller made with respect to it's too late for us to for Joe Biden to drop out and for us to go a different direction. Look, I understand that's your opinion. I respect that, but I completely, absolutely, positively disagree. It is not too late. We haven't. No, I'm going to give you the reason why. All right, we are still.
I'm not trying to insult you, brother.
Okay, so we're still weeks away from the convention. There's absolutely a possibility it could be an open convention in which Democrats and the Biden family, right, makes a decision in the next few weeks, right, leading up to the convention, in which he decides. All right. Again, the opinion of Brian Shapiro and Chris Wynn, that I think it would be better if Joe Biden, it would be better for the Democratic Party, it would be better for the country if he does decide to step down and allow Generation X to take over, right? That there's absolutely a pathway and a doorway in which they can replace him. And we've rattled off a number of names in which we still believe any of these names would beat Donald Trump in a general election. Absolutely, I would one up what Brian said as far as Donald Trump gaining support. He has not gained support. He has lost support. And you brought up January 6th. Let me tell you something, guys. This is what's so absurd about this. All right, to the caller and to Brian. This is a man who has not conceded the 2020 election yet. We are sitting in July of 2024, and one of the guys who's running for president hasn't conceded the election of 2020. And I'll do you one better. Not only is he not conceded, but he's also continuing to say that January 6th he had nothing to do with. He's continued to say that they are patriots and warriors, the people that actually engaged in January 6th. And he says this stuff on a daily basis, and he has legal jeopardy out there. He still has 3 other cases. The one
record.
case where Judge Shunkin, by the way, in Washington, D.C., is a case that's you're going to have preliminary evidentiary hearings coming up in early fall. So this idea that there's going to be he's not going to face any music when it comes to his other cases is BS. It's not true. He's going to face evidentiary stuff going on in the fall. He still doesn't believe he lost in 2020. He's running again in 2024.
For the record,
it's so absurd.
he's also
my head's about to explode.
Yeah, Chris
it's so
is
bad.
about to have an aneurysm. For the record,
Chris and Brian.
Trump has also failed to admit that he had sex with Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, says it didn't happen.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Chris is making a really good point about the convention, and I forgot to make that.
Yeah.
That's the only way to really replace him, because what you want to do, you do not want to be in a situation where you've got some people who are pissed off because they voted in the primaries for Biden and now Biden's not the person. But I don't disagree with what Chris said. That's the place that it could happen, number one. Number two, I really loved that Justice Barrett said, guess what? Fomenting a fake elector scheme is not part of any president's responsibilities, and
official act.
I think
not an official
Judge
act.
Chutkan is going to do a good job. Actually, I have a lot of faith in her.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? Is Judge Chutkan, the decisions that are going to be made, Brian, when it comes to September, probably late August, where Judge Chutkan, they're going to have evidentiary hearings when it comes to the January 6th, this charges in Washington, D.C., that Judge Chutkan, she's going to be able to make decisions as to what were official acts and what were unofficial acts, of course, which is something that the Supreme Court obviously ruled on with the immunity case. And by the way, quick point before we go to break, or what we're going to do here. The idea that they moved basically the case, the hush money case, right? They moved his sentencing to September. Correct. That's bad. That's bad for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of, Brian, I'm sure many of you, if you actually think about this, the first thing I thought of was the James Comey situation and Hillary Clinton in 2016, right? Where he opened up that can of worms right before the election. Yeah. It's not going to be good for you people, MAGA and Trumpers out there, that Donald Trump's going to be sentenced in September instead of being sentenced next week. That is a bad thing for all things MAGA and Trump moving forward.
There's a lot of bad things ahead for this country if Donald Trump gets back into the White House. I know we have some people that have been waiting patiently on hold. I promise we'll get to you on the other side of the break. And if you do want to chime in, 702-221-7283 is the number. So when we come back, Marco Rubio is criticizing our vice president, but you're not going to believe what he's criticizing her for. We have the audio for you. And Candace Owens is defending Adolf Hitler. Yes, I know, folks, you can't believe it, but I have the audio to prove it. He's Chris Quinn. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take a quick break. Last segment coming up next here in 90 seconds. It's PTL.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit quincefornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is PTL on a Wednesday. Looks like we're going to get a Biden surrogate to come on the show tomorrow. So I'll challenge them with questions, as I do with anybody else. And we have a very popular judge. Miss Cruz is going to be joining us in studio on Friday. Boy, do I have a lot of questions to ask her about our Supreme Court, her thoughts on so many different rulings. And the next 4 months are going to be a wild trip, that's for sure. It is a good time to be doing radio. It's also a high-stress time to be doing radio. So if you are stressed out, why not grab a drink and head out to Jackson's Bar and Grill? You see how I did that segue? What a radio professional I am. You see that? I did that all.
Top-notch all around.
Yeah.
Top-notch.
What's top-notch is your microphone wasn't turned on.
Of course it wasn't, yeah.
But anyway, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Show your TAM card every Tuesday this month. You get $50 in free slot play. Great food, great atmosphere, great promotions. And Chris Wynn is known to play his caveman Keno over there at Jackson's Bar and Grill on occasion. Jackson's Bar and Grill, check it out. I'll probably be there later on this week. And tonight, before we get back to politics, USA basketball team playing Team Canada. Anybody who knows me well knows how much I love basketball and watching arguably the top 12 NBA players in the world right now. I mean, right there.
Yeah.
It really is incredible. LeBron's going to be out there, and Team Canada is no joke. I expect it to be somewhat competitive. Watching Joel Embiid. By the way, I've never watched Joel Embiid play in person, so this is going to be fun for me. Kamala Harris was at the USA basketball practice at UNLV yesterday. She spoke to the players. She had some alone time with Steph Curry, their friends. So that was really cool to see. I won't be sitting on the court with any celebrities tonight. I will have a media credential, but it was fun. And it was also fun. I'm glad Chris got a chance to meet Vivica A. Fox the other day. I'm glad you got
I did. And you know what? Right out of the gate, I rolled up on her. I said, "Look, I'm one of Brian's friends in the radio business here in Vegas, and because I didn't just roll up on random celebrities just to meet them, right? Although there were dozens of people there at the game that wanted to hang out with Vivica. I get it. She's super cool, and it was a great event. Getting a chance to go out there and check that out.
Sure.
But with respect to basketball, I know we're not doing a sports segment here, but not only Team USA, of course, practicing here and having the game against Team Canada, but you've got the NBA Summer League coming to town, Brian
Friday.
Shapiro. On
Did
Friday,
you get your credential?
Friday, I did.
Are you
on
good to
Friday.
go? All right.
So obviously a lot of focus around the NBA because it's just after the draft. The situation in Los Angeles, of course, with LeBron James' son. It's going to be the first time ever in NBA history that a father and son are going to be playing on the same court in an NBA game as active players. So that obviously is a huge focus when it comes to the
No
NBA.
doubt.
But a big time in Vegas when it comes to hoops, Brian.
No doubt. I have a lot of great experiences in Vegas over 20 years, but my best experience, not just basketball, but just in general, it was meeting Muhammad Ali. That was up there, but I think this is right up there too. I was able to, when the USA basketball team was practicing in a high school gym, it was Valley High School. This is before we had these facilities. And this was when they had to qualify for the FIBAs. They played like 6 games in 8 nights, and those games meant something. I was able to go into a high school gym with about 20 people. I don't even think I was supposed to be in there. And I watched LeBron James guard Kobe Bryant, and they were scrimmaging against one another, and they were talking trash, man. And it was something like I had never seen before because you could hear every word they said because we're in a high school gym. There's only like I said, 20 people. That was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. The late, great Kobe Bryant, and I hate saying it that way because I wish he was still here. But it was such a memorable experience for me, and watching the FIBAs was so special. And again, I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. So moving on, it's always fun to talk a little hoops, but we got to get back to the politics. So Marco Rubio spoke yesterday. That's right. Little Marco. I don't know.
Little tunage there from Numchuck, Brian Shapiro.
I don't know what that was.
By the way, Marco Rubio, one of the 3 leading candidates to be the VP pick for former President Trump, right, when it comes to 2024.
Yes.
Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be J.D. Vance. But Marco Rubio is a guy who called Donald Trump a swindler. He called him a bunch of names. He'll never be able to control the Republican Party. And he's been a brown-noser ever since because Marco Rubio is a piece of garbage. But anyway, he's criticizing the vice president. But listen to what he's criticizing the vice president for. It's kind of interesting.
But the truth is that it ranges from that to I saw a clip the other day where she wants to ban plastic straws. Those paper straws suck. We don't want paper straws in America.
We don't want paper straws in America. There you go, Marco.
Just hugely important and instrumental talking point and topic when it comes to the American people, right, Brian? I mean, just so important. I mean, you and I both, we used the paper straws, right, during the pandemic, right? They're very prominent during the pandemic. Myself, who works in the service industry, have on and off for the past 3 decades plus. It wasn't a big deal, okay? Whether or not I had a paper straw or a plastic straw wasn't something that was, keeping me up at night, Brian Shapiro, when it comes to our discourse in American politics. So very strange, Shap, is what I'll say, that Marco Rubio brings up this and acts like it's some major issue when it really isn't.
Yeah, he's got the Donald Trump straw up his ass. That's what he's got. He's had that for quite some time now. It's a problem. So I'm a very, I guess you could say, opposition, because I think Candace Owens, while she's not a stupid person, she's a despicable human being because she uses bigotry to get clicks and to make money. As a black woman who used to be a Democrat, she's turned Republican and turned MAGA Republican bigot to get clicks and make money. And that's the way she's made her career. In doing so, she attacks transgenders on a daily basis. She's like the black version of Matt Walsh, basically.
She goes wherever the money is. Let's be completely transparent and honest about it. She goes where her paycheck is.
And that's all she cares about is money. She doesn't care about saying or doing the right things. These are not her real opinions. I don't care what she says. So,
but we're going to talk about it right now.
Candace Owens is now, in a way, defending Adolf Hitler. Have a listen to what she said on her little podcast.
In this case, is Germany, Nazi, Hitler, the greatest evil that's ever happened on Earth, even though factually and statistically it is not. And part of that learning process for me when I started looking into it was coming across a huge fact that we ethnically, the Allies, ethnically cleansed 12 million Germans. Because when you say to people, okay, what is it about Hitler? Why is he the most evil? Well, the first thing people would say is, well, an ethnic cleansing almost took place. And now I offer back, you mean like we actually did?
Okay, so let me just respond to that. First of all, and she knows this, Adolf Hitler is responsible for murdering 7 million Jews. That was an attempt at ethnic cleansing, and luckily they didn't, but they almost succeeded. For her, even in this conversation, to say, oh, no, that wasn't the worst. You know, there's plenty of things that have happened that are worse than Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. She's only saying this to get clicks and to make money. Now, the Kanye Wests of the world and the Fuenteses of the world and the Alex Joneses of the world and these kinds of people will reiterate this sort of nonsense. Why anybody would ever buy or pay Candace Owens to speak at an event or buy one of her books that I would use as toilet paper is beyond me. She is trash. I don't care how many followers she has. I don't care how much money she makes. Candace Owens is a trash just like Charlie Kirk. They're all in one the same to me. They attack people, they judge people, they're bigots, and they make money off their bigotry. I don't know why people buy Candace Owens books. I don't understand.
Let me make a couple of statements, Brian. First of all, a very general, basic one. Other wrongs or two wrongs don't make a right. All right, bringing up other atrocities that have taken place in human history does not justify the Holocaust, right? Or everything that transpired under the Third Reich and Adolf Hitler, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
Right.
Number two, with respect to Candace Owens, look, I told you, and I talked about how she's an idiot, and I'll give you a reason why she's an idiot. She gets timelines wrong all the time. She says things that are blatantly not true. At times, I think she's, like you said, deliberately does it for clicks. But at times, I also think that she's absent-minded and doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. She not only made the comparisons when talking about Adolf Hitler to Pastrot, she talked about the Bolsheviks, right, in Russia, and how they, the murdering of millions of Christians in Russia. She got the timeline wrong. She thought it was in the late 1800s. That's not true. It was actually in the late 1700s where that took place. But again, bringing up other atrocities does not justify what took place when you're talking about the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler. So, yes, she is at times despicable in the comments that she makes, and it is unacceptable in many ways. But unfortunately, there's an audience out there for that, Brian, right? It's a reason why she has, significant amount of followers, people that actually listen to what this idiot has to say, is because she'll say things that, unfortunately, a certain segment of her population happens to agree with, right? Or may agree with on the fringes that she actually comes up with. So it's disconcerting without question, but it's not anything that's surprising at all when it comes to people like Candace Owens.
It's not surprising at all. It's extremely unfortunate that we have people out there that have a platform to be able to spread this type of bigotry and hatred. I know we have a couple people hanging on hold, so I'll try to steal a few more calls here, if I may, before we say good day. Let's go to Raymond. Raymond is next up on PTL. Hi, Raymond.
Hey, how you doing? I'd like to introduce myself a little bit and then talk to you about something.
Okay.
My name is Raymond Herrera, an original Minuteman. I'm one of the guys that started this whole fiasco that we're looking at today, as far as political activism, the battle against illegal immigration, addressing the body politic. Even the USA chant is mine. Such things as my oath is from the cradle to the grave. That all emanates from me. You can Google Raymond Herrera, Minuteman, Raymond Herrera.
Okay. This is getting into territory. Yeah. Hey, Raymond. It's getting into territory where it sounds like kind of a crank phone call. Can you kind of
If-
give
if
us
this is not
just give us what are your initial points that you want to make? Yeah. Because you're talking about yourself. You're kind of grandiose talking about yourself
Okay,
in
I'm
a
just
way.
giving you some background. But Trump
Well, that's
can't
fine.
win
Yeah.
in November. Joe Biden can. I don't buy into the debate, fiasco that's going on. I want a president. I want somebody that's presidential that understands politics from A to Z, and that's Joe Biden. I don't care if he's 88.
Raymond, where are you
And
calling
that
from?
Makes sense, Raymond. Those points make complete sense.
Raymond,
I
where are you?
and I'm on board with that, right, Brian? We're on board with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Raymond, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Claremont, California.
Oh, okay, cool. So wait,
And-
I'm sorry. I have to go back to this because this is more interesting to me. I'm sorry.
It was kind of a weird
You
start
started.
to the phone call,
You
though. Yeah.
started. You're the one responsible for starting the
you're
USA.
like propping yourself up a little bit there, Ray.
Wait,
no,
hold
no
on.
disrespect.
Hold
but
on,
you
Chris.
are. Yeah.
You started the USA chant.
Yeah. USA.
That's mine.
You started that?
It was given to Donald Trump. Yes, that's mine. You
I
can
don't know.
look at all the
I don't know
videos
about that. Yeah, I don't
back
know.
to 2005.
I'm not calling
lying to
Ray.
you.
Ray, I'm
In
not
this-
calling
in this
BS on
movement,
you, my
it comes
friend.
For me,
I'm not calling BS on you, but I might be calling BS on you a little bit. that you came up with the USA chant. Yeah.
Wait, you
I
gave
can
it.
show you video 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So if we hear chants of USA at the basketball game tonight, it's going to be because of you.
That's where it originated from for me. in
And
the
how?
movement.
And so they didn't chant USA 100 years ago. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not talking about 100 years ago. I'm talking
No,
about
we're
today's
talking about the
movement.
origin of the USA.
I thought
Okay, you tell me where you
USA
heard it.
chant. That's what we're
Where
talking
have
about.
you Where have you heard that chant?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
At
Yeah, in a lot of contexts,
No, you've
right?
heard
Yeah.
it from
In a
Donald
lot of
Trump.
different environments and contexts. Yeah.
What do you mean? I've heard it from Joe Biden. We've heard it from
We've
Democrats
heard
and
it in
Republicans.
sports. We hear it
Yeah.
in political
You're gonna hear
events.
it. You're going to hear it.
In the movement, it comes from me, and it was given.
What
Donald
movement
Trump
is that,
took it
though?
over.
What movement are you referring to?
What movement?
The illegal immigration battle against, illegal immigration in America.
But
the
why?
Minutemen.
What does the USA chant have to do with the immigration discussion or the complexities of immigration? I don't really know what the connection is.
Okay, here it is. The way it got started was when I first started doing political activism as a Minuteman, everybody would laugh at us because, it wasn't the thing to do. But here's what happened. I was out there with a bunch of women facing off against 200 illegal immigrants in Lake Forest, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., wherever, women. And there was just one or two guys like me. So I used, when we were being
Raymond, we're running out of. I don't.
Yeah, we're on the back. Ray, we do have a time
Raymond,
constraint a little bit.
So
yeah.
the show's almost over. So I would
Yeah.
recommend. But can you give me a USA chant before we let you go? Can you do that for me, Raymond?
Well, I mean, I would go USA, USA, okay? And
All right,
you're
fair
missing
enough.
out on a good conversation, but Google me.
Well,
Call
no,
me-
well,
call
yeah, we're
earlier.
kind of on the back
Call
end
the
of the
show.
show. That's why.
Yeah,
we
Raymond,
have
you're
to let
welcome
you
to-
go
you're-
for time reasons.
Can I say one more thing?
20 seconds. Go.
I made a phone call to Chuck Schumer's office, and I am demanding that the legislative body, the Senate and the House, call the Supreme Court justices before the people, and because they have violated democracy
I
in
want to
America.
hear.
They have violated.
You have
we
the
the
right.
people.
You have the right to do that, Raymond. And I'm sorry I had to cut that one short. That was an interesting phone call.
That was pretty wild, wasn't it,
I
Brian?
want to know what
Right
drugs
there.
Raymond's on.
It went
Maybe
a few different directions there that were a little bit strange.
Maybe it's the same drugs they're claiming Joe Biden was on in the State of the Union. I don't know, but Raymond apparently he started the USA chant. I tell you, I did.
That's it makes him historic, doesn't
Yeah.
it? If that's actually
Well, I'll tell you something
if
that
there's
I
any
started.
factual
I'll tell you
accuracy to
something
that
that
at
I
all.
started. I started.
He's big time.
I started pushing the limits.live. I actually did start that website. Pushingthelimits.live. I started that website, and you can check it out. We are independently owned. Okay, so we highly rely on you supporters to check out the website, sign up for the free newsletter. We have merchandise up there, maybe some USA shirts, and maybe I owe Raymond some money. I don't know.
Speaking of things that have been
Yeah.
invented, Brian
Yeah.
Shapiro
Yeah, there you
invented
go.
phrases, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Buffoonery all over the place.
Yeah, right-wing buffoon. Yeah,
Yes.
buffoonery. Right-wing buffoon.
You're
Anyway.
the originator.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes,
You're the first one to come up with it.
That's right. Buffoon. You're a buffoon. Chris, thanks for coming on as always.
Absolutely.
It's been a fun time. And we will see all of you. Check out my website. We'll see all of you tomorrow. Same time, same place. We're going to have a Biden surrogate on the show tomorrow, so it should be interesting. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn?